Hey guys, it's Sandra from Conversion Minded, and I'm super excited because today I have 5 tips to help you manage your time, increase productivity, and get a massive amount of stuff done. If you're ready for it, here we go. The first one is actually going to surprise you because I'm going to say to do less. I've found that when I schedule less, I spend less time managing my to-do list and trying to juggle around all these different things to do, and I'm able to dive deeper into the deep work that I need to do and kind of stay focused. So I feel like it's kind of like saying no to some things. Like sometimes you just say no, and when you actually focus on doing less, what happens is that you start really getting very focused on the things that only you should be doing. Because I like to look at things in terms of the quadrant. It's kind of like the Eisenhower method, but not really. I like to look at it like, is it something that needs to get done, number one, okay? If it is, then okay, I can entertain it on my list. But then I look at it through another filter, and that is, do I really need to do it? Okay, am I the person who needs to do it? And a lot of things start dropping off that list because I know that I can find someone else on my team to do it. Or maybe what happens is then I look at the third filter, and that third filter is, does it really need to be done right now? Is it a priority, or is it a reschedule? And a lot of times you see things that there are reschedule things that, a lot of times we get caught in this busy work and we don't need to. We need to focus on deep work. So that's number 3. And then the fourth filter is, can I outsource it? Can someone else help me with this? Right? So when you start to run it through those 4 questions, it becomes clear that there are probably only a handful of things that you really need to be doing, that only you can do to drive your business forward. And those are usually the most crucial aspects to your business. So I say focus on doing less and getting that long laundry list of to-dos that we all have, just throwing it away. And really just focusing on the things that only you need to do, because all of that other stuff, if there are things that need to get done but they're not today things and you can reschedule them, then those are things that are just kind of cluttering your mind and allowing you to be distracted because you start thinking about those things. But when you completely wipe it from your weekly to-do list, all of a sudden you realize that you have kind of 3 things that you need to be focusing on, and there's no more sleepless nights, there's no more worry about it, because you have 3 things to focus on. You don't even have to write them down. It's as easy as that. Okay, so that's my first thing, is to really start thinking about how you can do less and actually get more done in the process, more of the things that are going to move your business forward, okay, more of that crucial stuff. Number 2 is to shut down your email, shut down Skype, shut down your texts, shut down Facebook, shut down Instagram, all of those distractions. If you really look at your email, every time I look at my email, what I see is people coming at me with their agendas, right? The things they want me to do. But those aren't the things that were originally on my list of things to do. And this is a big differentiator, because when you kind of find yourself going into your email all the time, or a couple times during the day, or even, gasp, going into your junk mail, right? It's kind of because you almost want to be distracted. Sometimes the things that are in front of us to do are daunting tasks, and it's that deep work that it's kind of hard to get in there and really do it, right? It's hard to sometimes we're not really sure what we're doing, and we kind of want that mental break. And so we start looking for distractions without realizing it. I know that I have a tendency to do it, but I've gotten better at just taking that impulse and pulling it back and saying, no, I'm not going to allow myself to be distracted by that right now. And when you shut down all of those things, you realize that there's really nothing that you had to get to, right? There's nothing that urgent in your email box. You can maybe schedule to check it 2 times a day. If you have client work or things like that, you know that you need to follow up. But you can also train your clients that you're not going to get back to them until the next day. So look at your email once a day. Maybe that's even at night. Maybe it's not the first thing that you do, And this is going to move me into my next tip here, which is to schedule your most important work for your times when you're most productive. So if you kind of get going for the day and you get into the day and that's when you're really fired up to get things done, do not use that for things like checking on social media, looking at your Facebook feed, surfing on Pinterest or Instagram, or checking your email, okay? Save that time for when you're catching up on Netflix or Hulu, right? Save that time for end of day when you don't need a lot of brain power. Like, let yourself have your most productive hours be married to the most productive tasks, the most things that you really need to do, okay? That's a really important thing to learn, I think, because a lot of times, you know, we can get up and we can start, you know, reading our email or just kind of, we're just going to check on social media really quickly. And before we know it, 2 hours has gone by and we haven't even started with the, you know, one of those 3 main things that we really have to get to. So really important to start scheduling your most productive hours, your peak time for that work that is your most important deep work. And any of those things where if you have to touch base with a client or you have to check in with your team members, schedule that later, because that stuff really doesn't take as much brain power, right? It doesn't take all of you. It doesn't take total immersion. So think of it that way. Okay, and my 4th tip is to batch like-minded tasks. Because your brain isn't as quick as shifting gears as we might think, right? All of the multitasking that we do actually slows us down. It pulls us away from doing things quickly because our brain is kind of playing catch up. And you know, whenever you're switching gears, especially between deep projects, you can't just jump right into it. It's hard. You have to kind of give yourself a break away. You have to kind of clear your head, do whatever it is, but that might take an hour or 2 hours, and that's like time that you're just spending switching gears. So the more that you can batch things like content creation, client calls, any of the other tasks that you find that you have to do, following up on social media, reading your email, just like batch things, and you're going to be so much more productive. I remember when I used to be using my time blocking template, which I have linked here below. That's a really awesome tool for managing your time and starting to get really accurate in terms of how long things are going to take you. I used to think that I could write a blog post, you know, in the morning and then have a client call and then do a client project and then come out of that and start on my ebook. Then the next day I would wake up and I would get going on my course idea. I mean, all of these different things that I was doing simply because I was being too far-reaching with what I thought I could accomplish. A lot of times we have these things that we want to do, and, you know, it's like our eyes are bigger than our plate, right, or our stomach. So it's the same kind of concept. Like you think you can do all this stuff, but then when you start getting into it, you really can't. It takes a lot longer, and it's, you know, it takes a lot more kind of deep work to do it. So I feel like if you can just allow yourself to batch things. When I started saying, okay, I'm going to just blog all day Monday, and then Tuesday I'm going to do content creation, and then Wednesday I'm going to do client work. When I started to operate that way, it allowed myself to have this big expanse of time to really do great work, and for every single thing that you're doing. So you're doing better work and you're actually getting more done because, you know, you're not having this switching gear all the time, right? Your brain isn't playing catch up all the time, trying to catch up. So that's my 4th tip. And then my 5th tip is to really start outsourcing whatever you can. Those things that you don't have to do but still kind of need to get done, you want to be setting up systems and processes that other people can start to help you with it. And this is a really important thing, and I know a lot of people feel like they should put this off until they're kind of making more money in their business or things like that. But when you start to realize that outsourcing actually allows you to make more money because you're able to do the things that are driving your business toward making money, then that's kind of a game changer, just way of thinking, right? It's a paradigm shift, but it's an important one because you start kind of looking at everything that you can outsource and starting to set up systems And the fact that you're starting to outsource and set up systems also increases your productivity, because you're no longer kind of shooting in the dark, just kind of, winging what you're doing, right? The fact that you have to train somebody, that you have to get somebody on board to execute, really starts to make you be very specific about what that task is and very specific about what's involved in that task. So I think it helps with time management too. But just getting used to outsource things like creating graphic images, like responding to emails, like creating ebooks, like researching blog posts, like, the list just goes on and on and on of all of these things that are involved in building an online business, but that you don't necessarily need to be doing. The things that you really need to be focusing on doing are things that are going to make you money. Okay, those are the things that you need to be really focused on, and let these other things either be rescheduled or find a way to still get them done. Because I understand that when you're building a business, there are a lot of different pieces, and some of those pieces you don't want to fall all the way down. You don't just want to toss them away, because you need to be building that platform for you to make the money too. So you need to be on social media. You need to be out there increasing your visibility. But how can other people help you do that? And you can start very slowly by hiring, maybe a VA to help you with graphics, or a VA social media manager, or maybe it's just a Facebook manager or Pinterest manager. You don't have to dive in and just kind of, bring somebody full on for full-time work. There are a lot of places where you can find people, you can find help. I've found help through Facebook groups. I've found great VAs through Upwork. I've found great VAs like everywhere. There are a lot of really talented people who can pick up the slack. And I encourage you to start looking into it, because the more that you can get used to that, the more your focus is going to be on those really, really important tasks that only you can do. And until you start doing that, what happens is those other tasks kind of tug at you, and they pull at you, and you kind of feel like you have to get them done. So you just kind of feel like, oh, let me get it done really quick. Let me just do this really quickly. It'll only take 10 minutes. Before you know it, it's 3 hours later. It happens all the time. I don't think there is one 10-minute task. So those quick things that you try to let me just bang it out, it doesn't really happen that way. And before you know it, your day is almost over. You haven't gotten to your deep work. So the things that other people can help you with, use that. Let other people help you, and just allot a tiny budget toward making that happen. It's going to get you in the groove of that and get you kind of acclimated to what that's all about. So those are my 5 tips to help you get an incredible amount of things done. Don't forget to check my time blocking template. This is a really great tool to help you allocate your time, look at your list of tasks that you have to do, and start to actually block them out on a calendar. And what happens is that when you do that, you start to really become a lot more accurate about how long things are going to take. That was what I was doing earlier on, where I was making a mistake. I would always kind of fool myself into thinking that a blog post would take 2 hours or 3 hours when it really takes me 7 hours. And so, when you see it on the calendar like this, and then at the end of the day you review what you got done, you're able to much more accurately estimate how long each task is going to take you. And you'll notice that your calendar clears out very quickly when you realize that what you thought was going to be 3 hours is really going to be a 6-hour task. Well, you can kind of call that all day, right? So, all of a sudden you realize that you have just a handful of things to focus on, because that's all you're going to be able to get to. Okay, so I hope that's helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments. If it is, definitely make sure you download that time blocking template, and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful. If you'd like, definitely subscribe to my channel. I'd love it. I could use all the support that I can get. I'm obviously trying to grow this little channel of mine, and I would love to just keep creating content for you guys to help you build a really, really profitable online business. Okay, I'll see you next time.